Hey guys, welcome back to Subjective. I'm your host, Danielle, and today I am fucking stressed because I have been recording for 45 minutes already, and I happen to look down and see that I never pressed record on the microphone. So there's a whole episode that I just did with no microphone. Nonetheless, we move. Anyways, if you're watching this, please make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you are an audio listener, be sure to subscribe on Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're at it, please leave a review. And by a review, I mean 5 stars only. But whatever you have to say, just say it with your chest. And because I have already been talking for 45 minutes, bitch, I need a drink of water. So pause. Nova. Okay. Now, as you can tell by the title, today we're talking all things travel. I just got back from a trip. But before we get started, I just cannot get on here and set up these cameras, put up this microphone, turn on these lights, and start talking about travel without first addressing the shitstorm that is going on in the world. I just think it would be completely irresponsible for me to pretend like these things aren't happening and that Donald's disgusting and despicable behavior already, mind you, is okay. Now, this is not a political podcast, although I should consider doing one. That would be fun. But I know that there are a lot of new people here. Most actually came from TikTok from the last episode. And so I would like to be abundantly clear on my views and how I feel, because I would hate for you to start listening to this podcast and start enjoying it and loving it, and then for some reason start to think that this is a safe space for you to argue with me about the behavior of Donald Trump, and the people who stand beside him, who defend him, who enable him, all of those things. I would hate for you to think that this is the place for you to do any of those things, because it is not. And I hope that it is extremely clear in some way or another. Maybe you did some research on me, or you went through my social media pages and you kind of got the picture. But in case it's not only are the majority of my views aligned with the Democratic Party, but even beyond that, I am extremely progressive. I am not one of those people who are going to get on the internet and ignore talking about the shit that's happening in the world. These kind of conversations do not make me uncomfortable. I am not afraid to pick a side. I will loudly speak on my beliefs and what I think is right. And I have opinions and I will express them. No issues here. And obviously, you who are listening to this are entitled to your opinions, but that also does not mean I won't argue with you or that you will change my mind about how I feel about anything. And I just wanted to make sure that that was understood. Now, I'm not going to go in too deep about the executive orders and things that this freaking weirdo has been signing, because I don't feel like I have personally done enough research to get on here yet and talk in depth about how I feel or my opinions or what I think. So I'm not going to get into that stuff. But I do just want it to be clear that there is literally no amount of cheaper anything that will ever make me sell out for the rights of other human beings. And so now that we have that clear, I will say that I have been feeling extremely like overwhelmed, bombarded, burnt out already with all of the extra noise and the influx of executive orders. I have found myself doom scrolling, and I am understanding that my desire to be well informed is definitely at odds right now with my desire to stay fucking sane. So I'm struggling with that because there is just a constant flood of news and politics. And honestly, this overwhelm that I'm feeling and that you probably are feeling as well is not a coincidence. Like, this is the plan, this was the strategy. Like, Donnie fucking knows what he's doing, okay? And I saw a post about the concept of shock doctrine or agenda setting theory. And essentially, it is when, there's this chaos that we currently see. So, like, these rapid fire signing of executive orders and these major policy changes and all of these different collective and conflicting narratives, that this is all happening at one time and it's happening all of the time, and it creates almost like a cognitive bottleneck. And essentially that just means we become so overloaded with so much information that it makes it literally impossible to just focus, to process, or even resist in an effective way. And that whole idea, essentially the whole idea behind it is that when we are bombarded with too much of anything, you essentially will just disengage and be like, fuck it. Like, I'm not even about to deal with this. And so the person who made this post, I think it was on Facebook, gave a couple of tips, and I thought that they were super helpful. So I just wanted to share them with you guys. And so the first one was picking 2 to 3 key issues that you deeply care about. You can't keep up with everything. You can't track everything. And that's okay. Like, focus your energy on, a few things that create real impact. Find good and trusted sources, whatever those might look like. So TikToks, Instagram, news outlets, podcast, blogs, whatever the case may be. Find good sources who, one, have their information correct. They cite their sources of where they've gotten the information. And in addition, make sure that they are people who are able to see the bigger picture and kind of break things down, see through the noise, and help you understand what these things mean, or at least give you resources so that you can figure out what these things mean for yourself. And in addition to that, oh, actually, no, I was going to say I'll actually share some of the resources that I like to read and listen to and that I use. And if you guys have any resources that you'd like to share that maybe I have never heard of or I haven't been keeping an eye out on, please share those in the comments. Let me know. Always looking for new resources. And after you do that, just take a break. Like, take a break, process. Like, this is a marathon. Step back, give yourself a chance to understand what the fuck's going on. Before you react to new policies, like, let the chaos settle, because as we've seen so far, it's like every day it's something new. And I am talking to myself when I say this, especially of like giving myself a chance to fully understand what's going on. And I think that's really important because, these people want us to be like scatterbrained and overwhelmed and, running around like chickens with our heads cut off. Like, that's what they want. And we have to like be really intentional about staying informed for ourselves, but also protecting our peace, because I think as of today, there's about 1,453-ish days left until the inauguration of the next president. So maybe it's going to be a long time. So we've got to make sure that we have ourselves centered and balanced now before we get in too deep. So, with that being said, on to what the actual episode is really about. So I just got back from Punta Cana, which is in the Dominican Republic, and I'm actually going to New York City next week for work. And I feel like I've done enough traveling so far to really give the best tips, tricks, hacks, life lessons of making travel just easy, breezy, beautiful, less stressful. I feel like I have the knowledge. Now, some of these things you guys might know, but some of them you might not. And take what you need, leave what you already knew, kind of thing. So, Punta Cana, me and my mom actually went on a little mother-daughter trip. It was our first time doing that, and I flew from Charlotte. She flew from Baltimore, and we met there. We went on Thursday. We got back on Monday, which was the perfect timing. We stayed at an all-inclusive resort. We stayed at the Rio Bavaro Palace, which I personally was not a fan of. I won't be going back. I probably won't go back to any brand of that hotel. Some of it was my fault. Like, I didn't make sure that it was an adults only resort, so there were kids. And me personally, like, if I'm on vacation, I just don't want to deal with other people's children. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to see them. But if you do have children, you might like that resort, and that might be the place for you, but it wasn't for me. Anyways, in addition to that, the food was less than desirable. I didn't like anything. There was one Italian restaurant that had some good ass bread, and that was really it. Everything was just not good. Most of the time, the food wasn't hot. The restaurants didn't have reservations, so you had to just show up there, get on a waiting list, and hope to God that you got in. And most of the time, by the time you did, it was late and they were about to close. So it was a hot mess. So wasn't a fan of that. The people, not the workers were really nice. For the most part, the people though that traveled there, they were from all over, and a lot of them were fucking rude. They stared at you. They didn't speak. They didn't like say excuse me, and I don't like shit like that. So that was annoying. And there wasn't a lot of black people there either. Like, on the beach there was vendors and like people who sell stuff, and one of the guys was like, oh yeah, I seen you guys yesterday. And I was like, how did you know it was me? And he was like, well, it's just you and that other group of black people here, which the people in the Dominican Republic are brown. I don't know if they consider themselves to be black people, but they all have darker skin. So they were there, but as far as like people who were traveling there wasn't a lot of black people. We had a very relaxing trip, so we spent most of our time on the beach. I think on the last day is when we kind of did like a full pool day. We went parasailing, but we didn't do too many excursions. We didn't go off the resort, which maybe we should have. We didn't try like any of the local food or anything. So maybe if we go back, we'll do that. But it really was just like relaxing, and that part was enjoyable, and that did what it needed to do. So with that being said, I wanted to kind of talk about all of the things that I do to make a trip less stressful and streamline my entire process. And so I wanted to start first with the method to my packing madness. Oh my God, I think my fucking camera is about to die. Okay, let's talk about the method to my packing madness. So first and foremost, it's literally the most important thing to curate the perfect packing list. And I think it took me a couple of trips to really get this down pat. And then once I created the perfect packing list, then I just created it in my Apple Notes, and I use a template, and I'll copy and paste it for every trip, and then just kind of tweak it, change it for whatever the scenario is. And so how I did that is, one, I started from head to toe. So I like to think about everything that I'm going to need for my hair, my face, my body, my legs, my feet, all of those things. I start there. And then I also try to think about like my daily routine. So what are the things that I need when I wake up in the morning? What are the things that I need before I go to bed? And I curate the list from there. when it comes to clothing and packing, I always try to make sure that I've done research on like what the weather's going to be like, what are the things that I'm going to be doing, what does the itinerary look like, and I'll go from there. Now, if I'm going somewhere where I know there's going to be things that I would need, then sometimes I'll just opt out of packing those things. How does this look? So, for example, if I'm going to my mom's, there's a lot of things that I just won't take with me because I know that my mom has them. And so I just think of it like that. And then, like I said, once you've went on a couple trips and you've used this list, you'll have it and you'll never forget anything. Like, I never forget anything when I go on a trip. I'm actually the person who's going to have all of the things that you didn't think you needed on a trip. And I have done that over time because even after every trip, I'll kind of take notes on like what went wrong, what went well, what are some things that I wished I had during that trip that I didn't. And then when I get home, I'll buy those things so that for the next trip, I have them and then I'm good to go. I'll do any and everything to make my life easier. So that's how I go about it. As the weeks are leading up to a trip, I like to get like a basket, so just like a clothing basket, and I'll use it to kind of toss things in there as we're leading up to the trip that I know I want to take. So if there's an outfit, if there are toiletries or different things that I just know I'm going to need, I'll toss them in that basket, like chargers, whatever that I can think of or that I come across, I'll toss it in that basket. So when I go to pack, a lot of things are already ready to go. And when I'm planning out my outfits, I will pick every piece of that outfit out. So all of the accessories, the shoes, the fit, everything, and I will try everything on, make sure it looks good together, and then take a picture. So when I get to where I'm going, I remember exactly what it is that the outfit is supposed to be. And just so that I can diversify that a little bit, I always try to pack in a color scheme so that I can mix and match things. Or if I get there and I want to switch up the outfit, I have options. But it also helps with not overpacking too much. So you don't have to pack 1,000 pairs of shoes or 100 different bags. Like you have stuff that will work with more than one thing. So that is one of the biggest tips that I feel like help me to keep things good, compact, and ready to go. And then I always will just make sure I have airport outfits picked out. And I always pack like 10 times more underwear than I need. So that's an essential. Now, what I like to do once I've packed up everything, I use a mix of packing cubes and then the space that's just in the suitcase. I personally don't think that packing cubes actually make a difference as far as space. I think they're just more so for organization. So I'll use them where needed. And then I also will pack around them in all of the nooks and crannies of the suitcase to make sure I can fit everything and be really efficient with my space. And I personally will always do a check bag, a carry-on, and a personal item. In my carry-on, I'll usually do something like spare outfits in case my luggage gets lost. I'll do all of my electronics, so cameras, speakers, chargers, all of those things, anything valuable. So if I have my jewelry, any type of designer bags or anything like that, and then I'll do, really that's it, because then I'll just leave a little space in the carry-on just in case my luggage is overweight or if I want to bring stuff back with me. And then in my personal item, I like to make it super functional. So I'll take something like a tote bag or a backpack depending on the trip. So if I'm going on a beach trip, I'll take a tote bag that's also the beach bag. Or when I go on my work trip next week, I'll take a backpack, which I'll use when I'm like going in between meetings for work. And then in there, I pretty much have like my lifeline. So I'll have anything I need for entertainment. So my headphones, my iPad, my Kindle. I'll have my water bottle that I can fill up with ice and also buy a water when I get into the airport. I'll have any essentials like medication, vitamins, anything like that. And then I also will buy snacks at the airport, put those in the bag. And then I also keep like a little toiletry bag. So I'll have hand wipes, hand sanitizer, I'll have makeup wipes, ass wipes, I'll have like Lysol, multi-purpose cleaning wipes. I also will have like chapstick, lip gloss. What else do I put in there? I put like a little mini toothbrush kit. I'll do eye drops, I'll do a fan, facial spray, sunscreen, a mirror, and I think that's it. But you get it. Like everything that you would maybe like carry in your purse, I'll put in there and make sure. And I just try to think of anything that I might need in flight. And then that's the bag that I'll put underneath my seat. And lastly, when it comes to packing, you can buy like these little miniature luggage weights on Amazon. So I suggest you get one of those. But also, we're fucking boycotting Amazon, so maybe look somewhere else. Or you can also just use like the scale that you have in your house, just so that you can weigh your suitcase and like not have any surprises when you get there. Because the last thing you want is to be sitting on the floor trying to take shit out of your suitcase, because I've been there before too. So yeah, that's what I suggest. And if you do have things that you know are heavier, like boots or something, put those in your carry-on just to eliminate that problem. Trust me. Okay, now once you have everything packed up, you're ready to go. I think personally that you should check in via the app. And that just allows you to be ready to go. It allows you to go ahead and pay for your bags and also pick your seats. I always pay for a seat only because I don't like to sit at the back of the plane. And I also like to have an aisle seat. Sometimes it's not really that expensive. I usually try to keep it at like $20 or less. And I'll do that, and then it just guarantees my seat. But if you don't care where you sit, just let them pick your seat, and it's easy breezy. You'll usually board with the last group, and it's no problem. And then in addition, I really think that people should just start taking Ubers or Lyfts. Like, stop asking your friends to wake up at the ass crack of dawn to take you to the airport. You need to Uber, or you need to drive there and park. And honestly, sometimes parking at the airport is cheaper than an Uber, depending on where you live. So I suggest just looking and seeing what your options are. Although this last trip, my boyfriend did wake up at the ass crack of dawn and take me to the airport, and he picked me up. But that was just because I wanted him to be the last face I saw and the first one I see when I came back. But if you don't have to bother your friends or your loved ones, like, just take an Uber and you can schedule it ahead and you'll be good to go. And then I always suggest arriving early to the airport. Now, I know everyone says this, but I'm like a 2-hour girly. So I'll get to the airport 2 hours in advance. It gives me a chance to get my bags checked in. If I parked, it gives me a chance to like get on the shuttle, get to the airport, move slowly. I hate like running around the airport like a crazy person. It's so stressful, and it literally makes your it will literally make your trip start off on a bad note. So I try my best not to be in that situation. I like to get there, move slowly, walk at the pace that I want. I also have TSA pre-check, which I feel like everyone should get that. I believe it's like $100 for 5 years. And you just have to apply, and then you have to go in person for like an interview. Essentially, I think they're just making sure that you're not a terrorist. And then once you have pre-check, it's such a breeze through security. Like, you don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to remove your electronics and basically get butt ass naked to go through security. It's super easy, and it's quick, and it's efficient. Me personally, and I suggest this too, if you are, oh my God, the other camera just cut the fuck off. I am really just having such a hard time recording this episode because everything that can go wrong is going wrong. So there's that. Anyways, what was I saying? Shit. I'm fucking lost my whole train of thought. Anyways, so I think I was talking about TSA pre-check. I believe it's like $100 for 5 years. And essentially they have you apply, you go in person, you do an interview, they make sure you're not a terrorist. And then when you are in the United States and you're going through TSA, you can just breeze right on through security. You don't have to like strip down, get butt ass naked. You get to keep your shoes on. You don't have to take all the shit out of your bags. You just put it in the bins, send it through, walk through, and you go. It's very quick and easy. I will say I like to move slow because, again, I'm not going to let other people's lack of preparation make me panic and have to move fast. So if I see people behind me or they're acting frantic, I'll be like, just go in front of me. I don't care because I have 2 hours before my flight. So if you have that kind of time, I suggest that too. Usually people are pretty nice about it and it just makes your life easier. So I like to go through security, and then once I do that, I'll get all of my bags, and then I'll check and make sure my gate is there, see where it's at, see how far it is, and then I'll head back. I love to get my steps in at the airport, so I'll use the bathroom, I'll get snacks, I'll get some water to fill up my water bottle, I'll get food, coffee, depending on the time. I'll go back to my gate, I'll sit down, I'll relax, I'll read my book, and then you're just sitting there waiting for your flight and everything is easy, breezy, beautiful. Like, love it. I swear by this. This is like the perfect airport formula. Now, once you get to your gate, you have your water, you've already went to the bathroom because you do not want to have to use the bathroom on the plane unless you're on a really long flight. Obviously, you can't avoid that. But once you start, having others rolling in, it's time to board. They call your number. I would love for everyone to understand there's no reason for you to hop up when they're calling group 1 and you're in group 9. Sit down. The plane is not going to leave you. Wait till your group is called and then get up. You do not have to bombard and crowd the boarding area. It's so unnecessary and it's so annoying. So once you've boarded, although I will say I really don't understand why airplanes don't let the people in the back board first and then like board forward. I don't understand that, but whatever. Once you get onto the plane and you have your overhead bin space, you want to put your carry-on, the one that you don't need shit out of, not your personal item, in the overhead bin. You turn your suitcase sideways. Do not lay it flat where it's taking up more space. Be courteous of the people who are going to need that space after you. It's very simple. Put your shit in the overhead bin. And honestly, a lot of times, every flight I've been on, they have like a complimentary carry-on check. So like, say if you have a carry-on and you want to not have to deal with it, they'll like check it for you at the gate and you don't have to pay for it. So if that's an option, also consider that. That makes your life easier. You have a little less bags. And then when you get off the plane at your destination, they give it to you right off the plane. You don't have to wait and get it in baggage check. So try that. And that way you don't even have to tussle over the overhead bin space. And so now that you're on your flight, you are ready to go. Your shit is in your overhead bin. I always suggest that you have warm clothing. So even if it's like the summertime, just make sure you pack like a little jacket, some socks. If it's a long flight, bitch, you need compression socks, okay? Trust me. You need compression socks. a travel pillow if you want to. To me, a lot of times it just feels like it's a lot of extra carrying stuff. So I'll only do a travel pillow again if it's like a super long flight. But yeah, if you're somebody who's going to be like falling over on your neighbors, then you need a travel pillow for every single time. And before you go, if you really want to make your flight enjoyable, like download any podcasts, music, TV shows that you want to watch. If you have a Kindle, load all of the books on there that you want to read. Make sure your headphones are charged. You have a good playlist. It's very possible that you might not be able to use the Wi-Fi. So don't depend on that and just have everything good and ready to go. If you do not have headphones, do not be playing your shit out loud. It's fucking rude, okay? Be considerate, guys. I personally don't recline my seat, but I think that if you do recline your seat, you should just check with the person behind you, let them know you're going to recline it, because there's nothing worse than, having your phone propped up on the seat and someone bangs the seat back and like just disturbs your whole world. So, I think that is really important. I think you should always be super nice to the flight attendants and the pilot. Like, these people are going to take care of you on the flight. Be nice to them. Say please, thank you. Make their jobs easier if you can. Listen to what they have to say. All of those things. If you can, like, don't be getting up and down, going to the bathroom and shit. Like, you should have already done that at the airport. Again, if it's a long flight, there's a different set of rules. But I'm talking about a regular flight. Okay? And here's my last thing. I actually cannot believe that in 2025, I still have to say this. You motherfuckers better stop standing up as soon as the plane lands. And I am not playing. I am so sick of it. And you people who do this have been flying long enough to know that this is so unnecessary. It is fucking rude. Stop doing it. It is so unnecessary. You cannot go anywhere, and you're not going anywhere. If you are in seat 25, there is no reason that you should be up here standing beside me in seat 15. When I was on the plane yesterday, this man did just that. He stood up as soon as the plane landed and got all his shit. He has his bags in his hands. He's banging me upside my head with his bag. So now I'm already upset. And then when it's time, the line starts moving. I say, are you going to let us out? And he's like, yeah, go. Like, he had an attitude with me. So I get up to try to get my stuff. Mind you, he's standing right beside me, so I can barely get out of my seat. So then I had to start putting a little force, because I'm like, at this point now, I'm not trying not to hit you. And he's like, stop pushing me. And I said, move out of my way. What do you mean stop pushing you? You're in my way. And he says, well, where do you want me to go? I said, in your seat. What do you mean? Where do I want you to go? Your ass should have never been up here in the first place. So if I push you, that is now your problem. And you're lucky that I didn't push you with all my force and cause a domino effect for you to fall down and knock everyone else down. Your ass shouldn't even be up here. Sit your asses down on the plane until it is time for you to get up. It will make everything much more smooth and seamless. You're not making people feel claustrophobic and standing in their space and hitting them upside their head. When it's your turn to go, you stand up, you get your bags, and you go. I will clothesline you if you try to bombard up here to my row and you're back there and the plane is not even hooked up to the gate yet. Okay? That, if you can't tell, that's my biggest fucking pet peeve. Okay? Oh, God. I'm stressed thinking about it. Anyways, I'm almost done here, people. So the last thing that I'm going to say is, I think I mentioned it earlier, but you need to make sure that you're like keeping a note as you're going through your trip of like things that are going good, things that you wish you had, all of those things. And that will, oh my God, it'll make your life so much easier. I swear, like All you have to do then is use that each time and like add to it. And then as time goes, you'll have like an arsenal of like travel toiletries and all the shit that you need. And then you'll never have to even really think about it because you're such a perfect packer and you already have prepared for the airport and your flight, and everything is so seamless and you're just good to go. Like, trust me on this. Now, I will say, if you guys want to know some of the unconventional must-haves for a trip, let me know, because I have everything you could think of. Like, everyone would love to travel with me because I don't forget anything and I have everything that everyone would ever need. Okay? I promise. Now, I hope that this episode wasn't chaotic. Like, I am a little bit stressed because I had started recording for like 45 minutes and then I realized I didn't press record on my mic, and then camera number 1 died, then camera number 2 died. It has been quite the journey getting through this episode. And not only that, it is Tuesday and this episode goes up on Friday. So I'm already even behind on recording. I usually like to record like a week in advance. So now I need to finish recording this today, and then I need to edit the episode and get all of my social clips and do all the shit before Friday. So pray for me. See, this is the shit I be talking about. This is why I like to be prepared. Anyways, with that being said, if you're still watching, if you made it this far, go into the comments and tell me your best travel tip, hack, something that we all need to know when it comes to travel, like something that you will die on the hill about when it comes to traveling. And oh, I also was going to say, if you are interested in being a guest co-host on the podcast, slide in my DMs, let me know. Or you can also email me, Danielle at thesubjectivepod.com, and let me know that you are open and willing to be a guest. I only have a few requirements. 1, you cannot be boring. 2, you need to be somewhere that I'm going to be. So I live in Charlotte now, but like if I go home and you're like in the Maryland, DC, West Virginia area, you can be there. If I'm going to travel somewhere, you know, we can work out the logistics. So that is a requirement. And then you have to also be open to different topics. You have to be open and honest and raw and authentic. Like, we don't sugarcoat anything on this podcast. And then lastly, if it's a podcast episode where we're going to be talking about specific topics, my rule is I don't send out my questions in advance, because that would then make it not authentic. You would have time to prepare. So I will tell you whatever the topic is, or we can discuss a topic that makes sense for both of us to talk about. And then that's it. So those are my requirements. So DM me or email me and let me know if you would be interested in being a guest on the podcast. And other than that, as always, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, like this video, turn on your notifications. If you are an audio listener, you can listen on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. Please be sure to leave a review on the podcast, on podcast platforms. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram at The Subjective Pod. And in addition, submit episode ideas as well. You can do that in my DMs, or you can email me, Danielle at thesubjectivepod.com. And I think that's it. Share this episode with someone who it might be helpful for, that travels a lot, or they're going to start traveling. And I think that's it. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything to say at the end here. It has been a day, y'all. It has been a day. I hate when I'm editing and then I get to it and I'm like, oh, fuck, I should have said this. So I'm trying to make sure I got everything. I think that's it. But if I think of anything else, I'll leave it in the description at this point. It is about 7 o'clock now. So I'm about to go hop in the shower and get my life together because I have to go back to work tomorrow. That's crazy. But yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will see you on the next episode. Okay, bye.